With Curse Clash just one day away, I thought I'd make a video on all the characters' passives. I've been covering this game with YouTube Shorts only, so for the final day I thought I'd make a final video, and I can't really get across this information in like under a minute, so yeah. We'll start off with the main character himself, Yuji. Yuji is just your basic in-your-face character. He doesn't have many like crazy gimmicks. His passive lets him use the dash gauge more, and it takes like less dash gauge every time you use a dash, and the more curse levels you have, the more dashes you can do. So yeah, it's a pretty simple one. Next up is Megumi. Megumi's like a puppeteer character. He has access to his Shikigami. His passive is pretty interesting. When he's at level 3, even while he's being attacked, he can still control his Shikigami. So I guess you can get out of combos for free, which is pretty powerful. I can already tell Nobara is going to be a really annoying character. Her passive is pretty basic. It just lets her gain more curse energy while using hairpins and renaissance. I don't know how to say it. But yeah, it's pretty simple, but her kit will make up for it, trust me. Next up is everyone's favorite, Gojo. He's got 3 passives, which is like, I think you'll see when the game comes out, he's absolutely broken. But yeah, so the first one is his 6 eyes. He can see people's curse energy gauge, it can be useful. At level 2 or above, you can sacrifice your curse energy to become immortal, basically, with like limitless. But it's only a certain amount of attacks before it runs out. And finally, he can float in the air by double jumping. Not looking forward to fighting him. Next up is Sukuna, and he also has 3 passives, because, you know, him and Gojo are just the strongest in the verse, so I guess it makes sense. At level 2 or higher, he gains reverse curse technique. So if you take damage and then deal damage, you'll heal that damage back, if that makes sense. But that's how it works. And then at level 3, you can gain stacks of intimidation. So if you get an attack off, you also stun the enemy. So yeah, you get a free combo extend. But that's just because Sukuna's attacks are very slow, and they're a bit like AoE based, so it makes sense, I guess. And then his final one is become invulnerable during certain attacks. This guy basically has armor on all of his like really powerful attacks, and it's not fair. I can't wait for Gojo and Sukuna to run this game. Next up is Todo. Every time you use Boogie Woogie, you get a movement speed increase, and your dash gauge consumption will be decreased as well. This buff gets stronger depending on what curse level you are, so it's a decent passive. Next is Maki. She has 2 passives. She's got her Heavenly Restriction, which just gives her like no curse energy, but she's really strong. And then because she doesn't have curse energy gauge, she has the green meter. Basically, every stack of meter she gets, she can sacrifice it to extend a combo or gain literally like iframes. I think Maki's gonna be really strong. In 1v1s, sure, but like this isn't a 1v1 game. But if you're left alone with a Maki, I think you're like, oof. That's going to be rough, especially if she's got that gauge going. And as the gauge increases, you get more speed, you get a higher attack speed, higher movement speed, and higher like distance traveled. So yeah, she's just going to be, I think she's going to be really good. Next is Panda. Panda, for one time only, revives with a low amount of HP. So I could see that being clutch. I don't know. It saves you from dying, it's good. Attacks in gorilla mode will always do damage, even if they're blocking. Basically, you get access to chip damage. I don't know, I don't think Panda's going to be very strong in this game. Yeah, we'll see, but yeah. Inumaki doesn't really have a passive. It just kind of explains his like throat gauge and him using his curse speech. Basically, if you overuse it, you end up doing like self-harm and like self-damage. Unless you drink throat medicine. So yeah, he doesn't really have any extra passives. Nanami also has a really interesting passive. Basically, when the match only has 1 minute left, you just get crazy amounts of curse energy, you gain speed, you gain like less consumption of your dash gauge, you just gain like a lot of buffs. I personally don't think that this will be that strong, because I don't see matches in this game lasting more than 4 minutes. I feel like it'd be quicker than that. I feel like even before release, this needs a buff, but like if they do buff it, I could see it being very strong. And when I say buff, I mean like just increase the amount of time, like maybe to like 2 minutes instead. I can see that being like actually possible. It kind of promotes Nanami players just to play passive and stuff, and I don't know if I agree with that. So yeah. Yuta's passive allows him to summon Rika, but only if like your allies have been taking damage or dying. So it's kind of like a lose to win type passive. Yuta without Rika seems very weak. And like, imagine if you're getting beaten up as Yuta and your teammate is at the same time. Like, oof, I don't like. Oh, yeah, Rika can only do so much. So I feel like Yuta needs another way to get Rika other than his allies being killed, because it's just bad. Like having to have a bad ally to win. Like I don't That's kind of stupid, but yeah, Rika makes him incredibly strong, so I guess it is a good trade-off. Geto has very strong but like slow startup attacks, and this is where his passive comes in. Basically at level 2 or higher, you can cancel your attacks and go into another one if you're like in a bad spot. Geto looks annoying, but I feel like if you're in his face all the time, he won't be a problem. He looks mediocre at best, but yeah. Okay, let's move on to the curses, starting off with Mahito. He seems very strong. He has up to 5 of those little curse baby things, which if they hit you, you get a slowness debuff. He has a domain expansion. But yeah, let's move on to his passives. This first one, Essence of the Soul. If you're attacked, you gain curse energy. So like depending on how much damage you take is the amount of curse energy you'll gain. So it's pretty strong. Like you can't go wrong with that. Those kind of a passive. Like even if you're losing, you're still winning, even if it's only a little bit. So second passive, Idle Transfiguration. Basically, if you keep focusing on one enemy, you'll keep doing more damage and more damage to them. So it's like a kind of stacking. Like you can kind of snowball into doing a lot of damage onto one target. So if you're playing Mahito, you kind of want to focus on one person, which is like, it's a pretty strong passive. Like being able to target someone, that's pretty good. But this effect only lasts a certain period of time, so be wary of that. Got the strongest disaster curse, Jogo. His passive is pretty good. The lower your health is, well, it activates when your health is low, and you'll do more damage when your health is low, basically. And because he's got such ranged attacks, it'll probably be easy to take advantage of this passive without getting punished for it. So yeah, it's a strong passive because Jogo is already strong because he's got his domain and he's got the range and he has a lot of options. So yeah. Next we got Hanami, probably looking like the weakest curse in this game. She's basically just a zoner, and all of her moves are long ranged, it looks like. So it'd be pretty easy to just kind of harass her with a melee character or something like that. But her passive is, you know, unbinding her left arm. If you land an awaken move, this happens basically. So you have to land an ultimate move for this passive to even like work, which is already a pretty hard condition. But basically it just lets her unleash more curse attacks easier, and like she generates curse energy much quicker. It's a good passive, but landing an awakened attack, yeah, it could be hard. It could be hard. Eso and Kechizu look really strong. Just having Kechizu running around and doing attacks, like he chases you down and stuff. It looks like quite a scary mechanic. But Eso's passive is basically when Kechizu is not down and he's up, Eso will do more damage. So yeah, make sure Kechizu doesn't die. I keep getting confused with them. But yeah, that is everyone's passive in Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash. I think, you know, these passives range from borderline useless to like really make or break the character. So let's hope that the people who have got bad passives, like, you know, their kit makes up for it. I'm going to be covering this game. I'm going to be releasing guides and just general gameplay. So if you want to watch that, if you want to watch me play the game, like and subscribe. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know who you're going to main in the comments. I'm very interested. If you're a Gojo or Sukuna main, you're a robot, you have no free will. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.